funny story. So 5 years ago, I was the second day in my job, and my boss is like, you got to meet this gentleman named Florian. He has this really incredible data product that you need to look at. And we saw it. It resonated. I was a data engineer for many years. I was in the trenches. And what we're really trying to do, our initiative at that time, was really remove ourselves from the obstacle of a one-size-fits-all. So what we were doing was just blasting our media. I mean, we do about $900 million of media every year, and most of it was one-size-fits-all. There was no relevancy. So we really were tasked with owning the moment. And that moment is really described as like responding to that interaction, whether that's a customer, a patient, a lead, a prospect. And it was really important to kind of manage that interaction, and then from an identity perspective, know who it is. There was a ton of unmet needs happening as we blasted one size fits all to many and many consumers. So we started on the left there, and what we did was wanted to move to the right. And so that's really how it started.
Yeah, and so when you start thinking about how to make these different campaigns a little more specific, what challenges came up in that owned moment identification?
Yeah, so we're faced with a lot of operational challenges. Prior to Dataiku, we had several sort of data ops challenges. The data integrity wasn't right. We had no data ops team. And a lot of the things were just coming through Excel, through emails. People were stitching data in a haphazard way. And there was just no unification.
So when you think about the future, right? So you've got these problems, you're starting to identify what the need is going to be. I feel like you've got it on the screen. How you started creating this people-centric stack?
Yes, so we really kind of broke it up into pillars. At the bottom of it, the crux is really identity. And our team really focused on the data management side. So that's everything from stitching, integrating, building data catalogs, building data quality frameworks. And on the orange side is the insights. So that's our advanced analytics teams doing everything under the gamut from predictive modeling, measurement, audience strategy. Our data scientists are running sentiment analytics. On our orchestration side is more of a Salesforce marketing cloud on how we're orchestrating all these data sets, building those journeys for our patients, our consumers. On the content side is our DAM. That's our digital asset management system that holds over 1 million promotional assets from emails, rep-triggered emails, banners, brochures, ICVAs. And then finally is our activation swim lane. So that's activation that happens on the advertisement side, through engagement, through our owned media, web media, and sales activation through our personal promotion and service as well. And so within this entire stack, Dataiku plays a central role in building these data-driven experiences.
Can you tell me a little bit about the teams who are building this? So how many folks were working on this end-to-end? What were their skill sets like?
Yeah, for sure. So mainly it was machine learning engineers, data engineers, and really what we were at was we had lots and lots of media data, from Nielsen to our television to our Google Analytics, through our HQ emails, through IQVIA, through Social Sprinkler, paid, programmatic. I mean, the list goes on and on. What we really needed was data engineers who can quickly come on board, build data products that are fit to purpose, drive a data mesh, and converge, transform this data, standardize it across our 2 central business units from pharma to oncology. So Dataiku really became the center of a landscape in building downstream use cases. Now, those use cases come from targeting and activation, which is our promotional mix modeling, that's deciding what is the best bang for our buck in terms of media promotion. We built a decision engine to drive the next best action, to remove ourselves from the blast, sort of the one-size-fits-all. We built target list activation, knowing who our customers are. From the reporting side, we had a bunch of BI reports that were running in ClickSense that were really built off of Dataiku to build those fit-to-purpose aggregates. And from the user persona, the personas, the really good thing here with Dataiku is it was abstracting all that complexity and making it more seamless for our users in the customer experience department, our marketing strat, our insights and analytics capabilities, and our product teams in MarTech.
And so when you think about pre-Dataiku, right, the value gains that you're starting to build with these pipelines, you've been using Dataiku for a while now. This isn't something that's new.
5 years.
So when you
Johnny, if you're in the crowd, you were in their trenches with us.
So I think, thinking about building out this landscape, what sorts of ROI gains, how are you kind of calculating and tracking those efficiency gains as you went throughout this process?
Yeah, so it's really on the marketing as a science is really our mantra, and personalization, improving patient outcomes from new patient starts to writing behavior to really, changing the behavioral message for our patients. That's really what it comes down to. Engagement, sort of connections. This was what's really important to really drive the needle for our messaging, and that now is able to be done.
So one of the big projects or final use cases that came out of this was the decision engine, and I'm wondering if you can, tell the folks here a little bit about that decision engine in a more technical landscape.
Yeah, for sure. So I also want to go a little under the hood before we get into the decision engine and kind of show you all the swim lanes on how Dataiku is really driving the needle. So on the bottom is our deep data side, which so everything from ingestion to cleansing to the quality from our CDP, Dataiku is building those fit-to-purpose products. Dataiku on the model side is also driving our marketing mix, our affinity prediction, our omni-channel dashboard. So all of our advanced analytics are being able to use that to drive those models and machine learning data science packages. From our content, all that content is then stitched into the data hub through Dataiku as translating that into the right grain and whatnot. On the orchestration is where, as you said, was our decision engine driving that right customer, right channel, right cadence, and right content. And let's not forget context. And that's driving the marketing automation Salesforce Marketing Cloud initiative to drive the next best action either on the personal side, which is the field, and building our rep-triggered emails or developing the call plan for our physicians. And then at the same time, our media interaction, what's happening on paid media, what's happening on our own channels. And that's really how you kind of see it from the left to right, from our customer experience strategy and planning on the web, on our social, to the middle of the design and delivery, and all the way out to the measuring these outcomes.
And what's cool about this is not only are you hitting all three of those stages, but you also see Dataiku from ingestion to modeling to the actual decision engine that's being out there. And so I do think that there is value in having a single orchestration layer or a single pane of glass to be able to build out these types of projects so that you actually get the business value across the organization.
That's correct, yeah. So that is where the connectivity, the tissue, all comes from Dataiku. We're over 700 users globally. And really the workload, efficiency, the gains that you're mentioning are really coming from this product. Before we just could not do this. We could not personalize at scale. There would be no possibility. Everything was intuition-based. There was no data-driven, personalization happening. So it's really made a big, dent in our ecosystem.
And I think across, different enterprises, next best action is something that a lot of organizations are looking to accomplish. So Tell me a little bit more about this product.
Yeah. So we were really coming from that multi-channel blast. About 5 years ago, the data scientists and I sat on at a restaurant. We had a napkin. We kind of drew out what we think omni-channel should be. And what we landed on was really driving that next message, that right customer. Prior to the blast, it was really, we weren't really driving the needle for our customers. They were just really getting so much material And the brands loved it. The brands were like, oh, more eyes on me. We're casting the net wide. But the experience for a customer was just constantly, bombarded. There was a lot of noise. So what this decision engine did was take all those data sets that you saw, close to 140 actions over 10 to 15 channels, and Dataiku was there central to transforming that data and building the next best action through models and the data orchestration. So we were able to really drive the right sequence, the right cadence. So week over week, this next best action runs. It's pulling the data sets. It's learning the history. So prior to that, everything was rule-based. If they wrote a certain amount of prescriptions, they were certain segments, certain cohort, they would just get a blast. And now it's able to see the intervention across 10 channels, 140 interactions, and really improve our and our X-lift, our outcomes in terms of engagement. They're engaging with the content. So everyone we see through the funnel, whether they're in the awareness funnel, they're in consideration, or they're in the loyalty phase, they are served the right action at the time.
And do you have a sense for the type of impact that this particular use case is driving to Novartis?
Yeah, so in terms of measurement, we always had a test and control group. So we would always measure against the blast and then the sort of test, which was the decision engine running. And we always see an uptake of almost 40 to 50% in engaging with our material and our content. We were serving the right customer. We were sending at the right time. We were delivering it on the right channel. There's so many channels. There's emails, there's ICVAs, there's web, there's programmatic. There's over 40 to 50 partners on our paid media vendor side. And then on the DTC side, which is our direct-to-consumer, we have over 400 partners, television, linear, connected, the list goes on and on. So yeah, we really saw an improvement in engagement, which ultimately had an improvement in our script lift.
Awesome. And I'm assuming with the tool like Dataiku, you are constantly improving this decision engine, which kind of brings me to the next step, right? So like you've already been driving all this impact with this particular use case and likely many more within the platform. So I want to know what's next. Like what's coming up at Novartis in the next, 3, 6, 18 months?
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, we're really gung-ho on the whole LLM mesh concept. We're really bullish on it. We're just starting out. We have some really wonderful use cases where we locked up over time. We've persisted a lot of unstructured data over our video, over our media assets, over our MLR review process. MLR is medical legal review. So day in, day out, we have hundreds of creative agencies interfacing with our legal and pushing that content through the door. Now, that content is reviewed by over 700 reviewers. Those reviewers are sending, comments over comments over comments. Move the italics over here, move the, the font over here, to be compliant. And so all that, close to 300,000 free text comment is sitting there in I call a dark data stage. And so what we're trying to do is use the LLM mesh, vectorize it, build it out, use an agent, abstract that unstructured into structured, and pull out unmet needs, pull out redundant, sort of redundant messaging, pull out messaging that is not, clear, as they communicate. Let's try to understand what they're communicating about and bubble that up to ultimately drive, speed to turnaround time on our ML review process, which would then ultimately move the needle on speed to market on our campaigns. Because one of our biggest hurdles in moving a campaign is the content. The average turnaround time is about 28 days. We want to bring that down to 5 days. Hopeful, but I think it's possible.
28 to 5? That's a significant decrease.
Right. So yeah, we're hopeful. We're aiming for it.
And what do you think the biggest hurdle in getting these LLMs, the knowledge banks, the vector stores that you would need to complete this? What's kind of hanging out there as a potential challenge?
Yeah, it's really compliance. We built just recently an AI governance team. They all have to really buy in They have to understand, is there explainability behind this? Is there going to be bias in this? The guardrails are just going to be really, really important for this. So it's very new for us. We've always been dealing with structured data sets, and so now we're really entering a realm that is sort of unknown, but I think with the right guardrails in place, we can move forward.
Great. Well, I know that we've got a set. I'll just lead it in. Dataiku has always had a history of guardrails and governance that doesn't stifle innovation. So hopefully a tool like the LLM Mesh will also be helpful in helping you achieve the 28 to 5 day content writing time.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so we have a few minutes left, and I would love to be able to open up questions for Ash from the audience. Yeah, Gus.
Hi, Gus Dataiku. Ash, great technology.
You got a mic.
Great technology story, Gus Dataiku. Thank you so much. Could you speak a little bit to the people element of this? They went from rules-based to AI. How'd that happen? How'd you handle it?
Right. So it was always, fail fast, learn faster. That was the motto as we iterated. There was a lot of iterations and continuously showing our test control group as we went from vendor to partner and showing it that, hey, it is moving the needle. There was a lot of set ways that, hey, our system is working. This is correct. I don't know where you're coming from left field, So that was really challenging, and sort of the data engineers really, went to steam on this and tried to build this out for them. So it was really, really helpful from that side.
Yeah, so I'd guess that the culture change sometimes can be a challenge, but it sounds like you were able to kind of navigate that.
Yes, for sure.
Got one in the back.
This is Vinod. We're talking about the data governance you have been introduced. Was it people-centric or is it another model-centric?
Yeah, so it started with the people, and that's a great question. We really had to set in the ways of understanding DQ at its essence, all the way from the granularity, all the way up to the aggregates. And so people really started understanding that, garbage in is going to definitely be garbage out. So we built, data governance teams. We built stewards within all of our different products. And then, of course, there was the technology. And so we built a data catalog within Dataiku. We built a data ops team from Dataiku's ability to, monitor, support, and really sort of look at the data from all different angles, from the integrity, from the staleness, from the weak missing data, and all the different anomalies that arise. So it was both, yeah.
Any other questions for Ash?
A great talk, Ash. Dave McDonald from Corios. Just curious, when you're going through the omni-channel analysis, you must have had some competing thoughts from all the brand managers. So how do you go about convincing them that we'll let you handle who gets what?
Correct. It was tough. I mean, the most important thing was the explainability of the model. So that was something that we learned. So you're absolutely correct. In the beginning, it was like, wait a minute. We have tons of experience managers, campaign delivery managers building these journeys. How is your model going to do any better? So from the beginning, we had dashboards showing the precision, the accuracy, the R squared in a more tangible way where they understand it. It's not technical, but we can always show, the test and control group and where it's at, in terms of, the experience that, folks are receiving across the channel, across the tactic, across the brand, and across the partners. And so when they saw the needle moving up, they like, okay, this is great. So what they were doing then was more working on the strategy. And from our side, we're working on the technical, capability of, improving the model's, output, its outcomes, and sort of that's how we kind of work together with the brands.
Well, I'm super appreciative of your time today, Ash. I know every time I chat with you, I learn something new. So hopefully we'll get a chance to chat with you later today. And Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you, guys.